Hi, Mike. Welcome to the NTM Growth Marketing Podcast. I'm excited to be speaking with you today.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you having me on. And yeah, hopefully your listeners will enjoy the things that I have to share.
I want to ask something right off the bat. Why do you have the Marketing Ops sticker behind you? What was your thought process? Because I love it,
uh,
but I know before we hit record, there's a little bit of a disagreement on the aesthetics, but I love it.
yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah. Back when I was launching, or we were launching MarketingOps.com, I was like, well, what could I do that could be kind of fun and interesting? Because we're in this virtual world right now. We did this all about 2 years ago this June. And so I proceeded to go buy a giant vinyl sticker and stick it on my wall and put it above the nicely decorated shelves that my wife put together. And she was like, "Are you sure you want to put that above these beautiful shelves that we put together?" And I was like, "I really think it's going to be cool." And so it was a little apprehension, and we put it up, and she was like, "Actually, that looks kind of nice." And so,
Would you
it's
say
permanent branding. Well,
would you
semi.
say part of what you like about marketing is doing something cool and gets people's attention?
Yeah, I would say like the things that are, subtle touches really work. People pay attention. Interestingly, like, when you get in, I think branding in general is important, right?
Mhm.
Regardless of the inability to track branding, it's an important thing. And, I think I'll just make a reference to when I first got started with all this community and marketingops.com stuff. I used to wear a pair of headphones. In fact, I have them here still. They're these big white headphones that I used to
Nice.
wear all the time, and they light up, but they sort of became like my signature thing. And that goes back to branding, right? And so,
Mhm.
like, people were like, "I love those headphones. Where'd you get those?" And I would send links to them all the time. Um, and I think that that is just like uh, sort of, again, like the importance of where your brand appears, how you have it appear. These little subtle bits that people pay attention to become a part of your brand, or you, or both.
Mhm.
And yeah, so I think doing stuff that sits outside of the norm is important, right?
So
Too.
let's just clarify what marketing ops is and your role at the company.
Sure. Yeah. MarketingOps.com is a private network and community for, you might have guessed, marketing operations professionals. We exist as a platform to connect and elevate folks that are practicing currently the vocation of marketing operations, or are figuring out that the thing that they've been doing is called marketing operations. And usually they're very happy when they figure that out, and suddenly that there's a place where thousands of people are hanging out and talking about it.
What
Equally, it's a
is
place to
marketing
educate.
operations?
I will
If you
tell
can,
you, yeah, I can totally summarize that as best as I possibly can. Marketing operations is the practice of taking people, understanding what it is that the business is trying to do from a go to market perspective, and working to align those people to a process to enable that go
Mhm.
to market through, often, technology.
Mhm.
And it's always in that order: people, process, and technology. Often we see companies and teams invest in a product or a tool before they ever think about who manages the tool or who's interacting with it. But it is largely, at the end of the day, a product role. You are
Mhm.
managing a go to market product and technology stack. And in order to do that, you need to understand who your users are and how to best serve those users, and establish processes that enable the business to thrive. So it's a people, process, technology, orchestration role.
Okay, just wanted to interject there, but let's go back to, what marketing ops is all about and what your role is at the
Oh,
company.
yeah, yeah, sure. MarketingOps.com. Yeah. So, platform, private network. Basically, we exist to help current practitioners, those that are discovering the role for the very first time, and executives that are trying to understand the importance or need for this role inside of their organization. It's helping all those parties really understand, what does it truly mean to be in marketing operations. Unfortunately, because you touch so much of the go-to-market system, there's a lot of extra stuff that gets piled on to a marketing operations professional. Things like ad campaigns, right? Like a demand gen sort of function might come up. That's not really this person's responsibility or this team's responsibility. They might be an enabler to be able to facilitate go to market and demand gen, but they're not necessarily your demand gen marketer, right? And so we're trying to establish sort of the guardrails of what does it truly mean to be in marketing operations. And that's why we
And
exist.
what's your role at the company?
I am the CEO and founder of, I like to say, the community led founder, because none of this would have happened without the community guiding us toward what is it, what does it all mean? What should we be doing together? And how do we make this better for everybody? So,
Uh, so as part of a community, I'm sure not only providing some great education, but I'm sure this is a safe space for people to vent about what's going on professionally and, find like-minded community who are encountering similar challenges. What would you say are some things that keep a marketing operations professional up at night? Like they wake up in the middle of the night with sweats. What are some things going on in their day-to-day life?
uh, there are so many things that keep them up at night. My own wife, who is helping me now with so many things in the community and the business in general, is learning marketing automation, for example, and it was great. She was laying in bed one night, and it was, I don't know, 11:30, and she hits me on the shoulder. She says, "Honey, I don't know if I scheduled that email." Right. And so like it's really down to the basics. Did you actually hit send? Did you actually
Mhm,
schedule it? Did you target the right list? Oh, did you forget to put in the placeholder for that token value that was in the template when it says hi first name? These are things that keep marketing operations professionals up at night all the time. Did you put the opt-in field on the recent form that you launched on the website so you can
mhm,
compliantly, reach your audience, right, according to the policies for privacy and consent? These are all things that float around a marketing operations professional
mhm.
head day in and day out. And when somebody says, "Hey, can I send an email campaign to the customers?" The answer is yeah, but which customers, right? And then, well, if they try to specify a particular audience, that marketing ops person is responsible for trying to figure out, well, can I even reach that data? Does it
Mhm.
exist? And so usually they're thinking, many layers down into the nuance of, is it even possible um, to achieve what it is you're asking for? Because usually the answer is yes, but there's always a caveat to that answer, right? And do we have access to the data, all that stuff? Lots of things that keep us up at night.
What would you say someone hopes to gain personally and professionally by being a part of your community?
um, I think much like any other community, it's really just, it boils down to camaraderie and
Mhm,
just a sense of like sort of kinship, a peer that understands what I'm experiencing.
mhm,
We found there's the online space where it's very nice to be able to go from often you're a team of one to now you're a team of, call it 5,400, because there's about 5,400 of us in Slack today. um, that's pretty special to be able to go to somebody and say, "Hey, I'm encountering this strange thing with this product, right, or this process that I'm building out. Has anybody encountered this before? How have you tackled this challenge?" Often you don't have that resource
mhm,
internally to be able to talk shop in that way. And so I'd say people come into this community to lean on that sort of instant team
mhm.
growth and finding someone else who's maybe been there, done that. Um, yeah, and then ultimately to grow in their career, right? So they're very interested in, how do I continue progressing and learning new things and picking up new skills, and so they're part of this community often, and the events we host for that reason too.
How would you say the role of marketing operations professional has changed over the last couple of years? And I say that because digital is always changing. A few years ago, TikTok was a dance platform for teenagers. Now China's using it to take over the United States. So things have shifted in our public's outlook of what the platform's all about. So, but for marketing operation professionals, how has the role transformed and changed over the last couple of years?
It's evolved a lot, and I don't think it's going to slow down. This wonderful group known as Itumos popularized what were sort of the first iteration of what they refer to as the four pillars of marketing operations, and it helped identify sort of the core responsibilities, so to speak, of um, of the different types of roles you might play in an organization. So, platform operations versus campaign operations, and the others. And over time, what we've seen is uh, as you moved further away from being platform specific or technology specific, the roles evolved into ideally an enabler for strategic go to market, right? And so if an executive said, I really want to be able to sell to the EMEA region our services, there's a lot that needs to be established in order for that to take place today. There's legal practices you have to understand. There's all kinds of targeting and sophisticated sort of list pulls that you need to be able to do, which means you need data infrastructure to support that. And if you want the data infrastructure to support that, you probably need to invest in other products and then potentially other tools. And so there's a lot when you want to enter new markets or you want to sell or enable a team to sell more effectively. This marketing ops role is really evolving to be a product leader in that space and be a strategist in the sense like the best way I could really think about it is like a CTO, CIO, COO mix. Now, I'm not saying everybody here that practices marketing operations is a C-level executive, but they're
Mhm.
sort of forced to think about like what are the ramifications for the next decision that we make? What are the trickle down impacts that it might have on the
Yeah.
business? And that's the way that a marketing ops professional has evolved now, right? Like by adding this one field into you know HubSpot or Salesforce or whatever, right? How does that
Mhm.
impact the rest of our org? Or by removing that field, right? What happens? Who's relying on that data, right? So it's really thinking through those things.
I'm assuming also you're wanting them to elevate, how they view themselves strategically at a company so they're not replaced by AI or outsourced for, half the cost overseas. Is that part of that too?
Definitely. I think offshoring and nearshoring will always be a thing that everybody wants
Mhm.
to sort of take advantage of in terms of expanding their ability to go to market, whether that's just cost savings or what have you. Um, and yeah, AI, like that's not going anywhere. But what's really special about the marketing operations role is as a strategist that understands how these tools can, the art of the possible of the way that these tools can work together,
Mhm.
means that they're actually really well equipped to leverage AI in a new and meaningful way.
Mhm.
I would make the argument, and it's, I can't even say I would make the argument. I will lean on the arguments that are being made in the community by others that are far more intelligent than myself.
Mhm.
Paul Wilson is popularizing the message that, hey, marketing ops, the practitioners, we've been doing this like AI thing for a little while. It wasn't in the shape and form that it is today, but this whole concept of like lead scoring and trying to figure out who's ready for a sales conversation when, really that's like modeling out different go to market strategies and trying to tap into these different pieces to surface information and make it easier for somebody to take action on that. And if we understand now that AI is going to be reliant on quality inputs in order for us to have a better interaction with our customer or our prospect or both, then you better have somebody in that role to actually manage the quality input to beget the quality output, right? And really, what we're saying is marketing operations is super well positioned to be able to say, hey, here's what's possible, But if you don't take care of this foundational stuff, someone's got to do the work, right? Where
Mhm.
AI will come in super helpful is for the mundane stuff that we don't necessarily love to do anymore, but we are capable of doing, is like, um, hey, I need to build a 7-touch email sequence with 3 different branches on it, and those branches should be, split based on this data point.
Mhm.
Okay, that verbal thing took me what, 3-4 seconds to say out loud, and AI can interpret that given the right inputs because I know what to ask it. It can go build me that workflow,
Mhm.
right? Like that's the kind of stuff that's going to be magical, right? Natural language processing. I know what to request because I know how the system works. I don't know that the AI is necessarily going to sit there and say, hey,
Mhm.
Andrew, don't you think you should have a 7-touch nurture with 3 branches that split off based off of this data point? Like it doesn't know your business that well,
Mhm.
right? It probably won't really ever know your business quite that well because it's not like trying to intuit all that stuff. Maybe
Mhm.
it will. I don't know. Maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't think we're
Well,
getting
my
replaced by AI.
Mike, I have one last question for today, and it is, what is something you're most excited about in the marketing world in 2024?
Ooh, gosh, I think just it's going to sound a little counterintuitive, but the connection to people and the brand.
Mhm.
Here I am running this community full of like technologists and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, um, the thing that makes it as special as it is that we're creating an experience that connects people to our brand and our brand to people and people to people.
Mhm.
And I'm most excited about seeing how businesses enter new go-to-market strategies, leveraging relationships and bringing it back to people. So that's for me.
Love it, Mike. So can you leave us with best ways to follow up, website, social media handles, best ways to follow up with you?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You can find us at marketingops, marketingops.com, and you can follow me. I am Mike D. Rizzo, Rizzo. That's sort of my handle everywhere. And our handle pretty much everywhere for Marketing Ops is Marketing Ops Com without the dot. So follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram. I think we have a TikTok now. And yeah, that would be the easiest way to stay in touch.
Perfect, Mike. Thank you for your time today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.